yeah, like the biggest word that Norm says, and it's change. It's like change isn't easy. Like change is the hardest thing to do, and quite honestly, most people are lazy. Like
So
most people are
true.
lazy, right? They don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's like if this was easy to do, if change was easy to do, we wouldn't be this. Probably this podcast wouldn't even exist because there really wouldn't be anything to talk about. We'd all be successful. Everybody would be winning. This industry would be so fruitful. It'd be amazing. Everything's just colorful of lollipops and rainbows. But reality is, change is hard. Like
Yeah.
it's just hard.
Sweet. Let's get to it. We got a lot to cover, and again, I think this is going to be yet again the latest, greatest. Our last podcast, gentlemen, is gaining traction. Appreciate all your patience and encouragement. I did not know it takes that long to get things going, but here we are. Just want to say welcome to everybody that is listening. Welcome to our regular podcast members. That's Jojo from JD Collision, Todd from Prestige Collision, and Norm out of St. Claude, Manitoba. We also have special guest.
And it's still green
Joel.
in the background.
Yeah,
St.
check
Claude.
it out. Is that a picture?
No, that's actually.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
That car was real.
Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
And I want to say a special welcome to Joel McPhail, a guest on our podcast today. I think from everyone who listened to the last few podcasts, especially the last one, You Can Own My Shop Someday, we did have our three members share their background, how they got into it, why they're in it. There was definitely some talk about profitability, and even a couple listeners throwing some comments up about questions like, why are you guys in this thing if it sounds so bad? So we're going to get into that. But also Joel McPhail, who holds a pretty big heart in the industry. If anyone that has been around the industry for a while has clearly heard his name. He was in the industry for quite some time until about a year ago. Took a leap, and exited the industry. So we're excited to have him here today as well. The topic of today's podcast is, does this industry suck? And we're looking forward to get into it about conversations from everybody who's going to say, no, it's the best thing ever, or I have no idea, or no, I'm good, I'm out. So I wouldn't mind just getting Joel, if you could, to give us a bit of a further background to where you came from and how you ended up on this podcast today.
Sure. Obviously, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here. I was in the collision business for 20 years. I was in high school. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I liked cars. And I remember going and working at a car dealership, washing cars, and I was always fixing my cars on the weekends. And the guy in the auto body shop asked me if I wanted to come, instead of washing cars, come clean the floor of an auto body shop. And I guess fast forward, the rest was history. I went to school, became a Red Seal journeyman, and then quickly just had an appreciation for the business, and spent the next 15 years or so managing shops in Manitoba, and ended up in Winnipeg running probably the largest MSO in Manitoba, and having a really good time doing it, and really learned the business. And it was a big part of my heart for most of my life. And then like you said, a year ago, I decided there was a new opportunity, and it was time for a change. And so I walked away from pretty much all I knew, and now I'm learning something new every day. I'm drinking from a fire hose every day.
Awesome. With the title, which has been floating on our board for a while, Does the industry suck? We've had quite a few podcasts that's got into many facets, struggling to find good people, struggling to, again, remain a solid name in the industry as a collision shop. And of course, the one topic that I think a lot of owners talk about amongst themselves or in their own world, but they don't share openly, is the profitability side. And again, the last podcast, we even had a listener or two ask that question. It seems to be, or sounds at times, like there is really no profit, at least from what we've shared. Is that true? And I want to just get into it. Any one of you can feel free to go first, but that is the question. Is the industry a sinking ship? Is it as bad as it sounds? Is it just easy to grovel sometimes, or is there hope? So maybe with you, Joel, if you don't mind me asking, what made you take a turn? What made you leave?
It wasn't for anything that in the industry that really pushed me away. I think I just had a really good opportunity to go own my own business with my brother and take on some new opportunity and ultimately really report to no one but ourselves. That being said, when you ask that question, this industry, the collision repair industry, is struggling. And if you ran an auto body shop today, like you ran an auto body shop 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you will not be profitable. You'll lose money. You'll be asking yourself why. And really the only guys, in my opinion, that are really successful at it have taken that business model and they've turned a hard turn right or left and gone an entirely different way for how to run the business. You have to look at it as a business. And you see the successful guys are now, they're not old, car painters. They are business minded, very sharp, focused people that are looking for other ways to do things, because the way that it was done in the previous decade ago just doesn't work anymore. And you've got insurance companies that are just figuring out ways to round and grind down this business, probably not even realizing what it's going to do to this industry. It's going to absolutely kill this industry, and the consumers are just completely unaware of it. They're not going to realize how bad this industry has become until they can't get their car fixed for 6 months, for a year, for 18 months, because there's no one left to fix it, because the industry has been grinded down by the insurance companies. So
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll back that up by, even doing a little bit of research. It wouldn't take much for anyone to seek it out, that this industry is well below a 10% margin. Now, we know that can be skewed. You could not be charging yourself rent for your location. You could be, getting a really good deal on materials and storing them up in your attic. But the reality is, we all know that, as you said, Joel, if you're operating even 5 or less years like you were, you're not going to be making money. So, gentlemen in the industry, that question, let's get honest. Is there money to be made? Is it profitable? If so, how are you doing it? And if not, what's killing it?
Well, I kind of got a question for Joel in regards to his opportunity. He got an opportunity in a different industry. Now, had that opportunity come in the auto body industry, would you have been as quick to jump on that? Or what would your thoughts have been there?
yeah, no, I had lots of opportunity to own shops and partnering on shops. I said no. I said no to 95% of them. There was one opportunity that came, and we had a good deal to be made, and then actually the owner walked away from the deal at the last minute, just decided he wasn't ready to sell. But most of the stuff that came across my desk just wasn't of any interest, because the ROI just wasn't good enough. And I'm a positive viewer on the industry, and I love fighting with, like, arguing for 5 cents. Like, I love it. I think that was like the best part about being in this industry. That being said, it's like that wears you out, and I realized quickly, I'm like, am I gonna love this 20 years from now? It's like, I still gonna work 20 years from now. Am I gonna be still wanting to argue with these insurance companies? And I didn't see it getting better. I've been a part of so many negotiating committees and sat on so many boards and in performance groups, and every intelligent person that's in this business is seeing the same problems. They're fighting the same fight. And so no, when the opportunity came to really leave the industry, it's like I was sad to say goodbye to the friends and the relationships that I developed over 20 years, but not sad to stop fighting with insurance companies anymore. And quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these insurance companies had like a party at their office being like, this guy's leaving the industry. This is great. Like this is a win for us.
Yeah. They'll have the same party when I go. Trust me.
They're going to save 5 hours of admin time a week just with you gone.
Right.
So we're gonna keep going after this money question, guys. But maybe for our listeners, because some are clearly not in this industry, what's the difference? I mean, Joel, you shared fighting with insurance companies. What's the difference between this industry and a regular industry? Somebody who bakes pies, or I don't know, runs a snow removal business. Like, you sell an hour, you get paid for an hour. What makes this industry so different from what it sounds like?
Yeah, I think I always talk about ROI and what's your dollars, and then talk about your net income as a percentage. And like you threw out 10% early on, and it's like you can take your money and put it in the stock market and get 10% today on a decent investment. Like for you to invest all your money and all your hard work and your life for 10%, that just isn't a solid return to be a business owner. And so then you get into some of these things where I often go, and my argument with people is, show me another industry where the insurance company dictates how much you get paid. Like, they're dictating the rates. They're like, I deal with plumbers, electricians, framers, concrete guys, and they build houses for insurance companies and fires. The insurance company's not dictating how much the pay is, it's the industry, and the supply and demand is dictating how much these guys charge. And if they want to charge more, they charge more, and they may not get the work, or they want to charge too little, and they're probably going to get too much work, and then they're inundated with work, and they can't figure out how to do it. But show me an industry where the insurance company dictates to the business owner how much money you can charge, which then filters down and down and down to like how much you're paying an employee. And obviously, as shop owners on the call, it's like, you guys know how little an apprentice gets paid today, and why would anyone want to come into this trade as an apprentice? So from a dollar perspective, profit perspective, I just go like, there's more money to be made in a lot of other businesses. And it goes back to the kid coming out of high school that's going like, hey, I want to become a car painter or a plumber. Like, where can I make more money right off the bat, day one?
Like,
right?
No question.
I often you're getting, when you're running these businesses, you're getting creative on how to attract people. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, you can watch whatever TED talk you want about people, how they don't go to work for the money, and they go because of the feeling and the culture. It's like, man, I got bills to pay. So does everybody else. Like, we still got to get paid. Sure, this kid wants a hug today, but he also wants a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's the pendulum swinging there, gentlemen. I've got three beautiful business owners in the industry on this call. Why the heck are you guys in it?
Well, if I'm being honest, it's like ignorance is bliss. I got in this industry because, I think all of our stories are similar. They start off like the story that Joel just told. And then you get to a point where you're like, well, if I could do this, I could do that. And if I'm this, I'm that. And then I got to the point where if I can paint cars, I can own an auto body shop. I know how to do every step of the process, not thinking about the business side of it, but I just know that I can do every step of the process. During that process, I didn't know what I was doing. I'll flat out say that, right? And that is the only thing that kept me going, because another step would come up, and we have this hardwired into us. It's like, oh, a new challenge, I'm going to work through it. Oh, a new challenge, you're going to work through it. But if someone would have laid out all those challenges on the table ahead of time and said, Norm, you're going to start here and you're going to work through all this to get here. And when you're all done, you're going to get that. I would have been, to that point earlier, the kid looking at, okay, now show me what that looks like in the plumbing industry, or what does that look like over here baking cakes? And then I would have made that decision. So by not knowing how difficult it was, that is the only reason, I'm going to speak for myself, that's the only reason I'm here today. But along with beating those hurdles and getting across those challenges comes a certain sense of accomplishment, right? And you take pride in what you've built. And that is something that keeps you motivated as well, right? You build a good reputation, you have good people, you become a boss that people like sometimes. And, in a small community, you get to feel those benefits. You go to the grocery store, hey, you guys fixed my car, you did a great job, right? All those things compound, and all those things, to Joel's point, don't pay any of the bills. I didn't go to the hydro, to hydro last month and say, you got to just keep my lights on because everybody likes the work we do. That's not how it works. But if I had to say, why am I here today? It's probably because I didn't know any better.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
None of us did. It's okay.
I'd like to commend Joel for coming into this room and making 3 owners kind of really second guess their life decisions.
Yeah,
because I got to.
We haven't started comparing margins yet, Joel. We'll get there, but
like I agree with Norm wholeheartedly. Like mine's a little bit different, coming through a family business into the same thing, but the ignorance is bliss part of the story is about the same, really. But Joel's other point that I might as well just sell everything and invest it in the stock market just hurts a little bit more. It really hurts because it's true,
maybe that's another podcast.
Well, and really,
it hurts because it's true. That's going to be the podcast.
I'm getting a T-shirt made. I think it hurts because it's true.
And when you think about people that we're talking about that pay our bills and dictate our rates, that's literally their business model. Their business model is to make money on investment and to break even on claims.
Yep, you got it.
So, that should have been a little bit more obvious to us all, I think, in the long term. But I'll take that one on the chin and move on.
And Todd, I want to hear from you, but I want to ask that question that you just said, the business model. But go ahead, Todd. Where are you at? Why are you here today?
I would say we probably had lots of opportunities to exit the business along the way. Even back in the day when I was an apprentice, I'm like, is this really I love cars, like Joel said when he was young, fixing up cars, and was like, I love cars. And I think my love for the business developed over time. It was like a failing forward kind of thing where it's like, I don't know. I feel like I just enjoyed the process and continue to enjoy the process of growing it. And I mean, maybe that's just because of my systems brain and the way that I like to gather people and try and run plays and see if we improve and see if we can be more profitable or see if we can win against this. It's like it's like a zero sum against an insurance company. It's like, can I win when their entire existence is to make sure I don't win?
Right.
So, but we built a pretty sizable organization, and it's given us a pretty okay life, and I think it's really had an impact on the people that work for us. I think they make a lot more than they ever did. I think, I was thinking back the other day talking to one of my apprentices, and I think the most amount of money I made prior to owning a company in this industry was like $14 an hour. Before I became an owner, I don't think I broke $14 an hour.
Right.
And then it took a long time to break $14 an hour as an owner, to be honest.
For sure.
It took a while.
Yeah.
But it's like now we've got apprentices, and I don't disagree, Joel, that people can make the plumber seem shiny. But I've got guys that made nearly 90 grand that weren't even ticketed last year. So, like that's not a terrible living by most standards, like that's pretty good to me. I've thought of a third or fourth year unticketed person, but the only reason that they were able to make that kind of money is because we run our business so much differently than a body shop that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even like last year. Like if we hadn't changed everything, there's no way they could have made that money. So yeah, I don't know. I question it all the time. Why why do I love this? This is the stupidest game. Really, it's so silly.
And that was the question that Jojo helped bring up for me is it the model, the business model? Is there something wrong with it? I mean, clearly the three of you, Todd, Jojo, and Norm, you're all still in it. You're all still relatively happy, and you're loving it. I hear people. I hear last podcast, Norm, about being a good steward, and
Yep.
and not just a legacy, but something for the next run of owners to be. But is there something wrong with the model, and not just on how you get paid by an insurance company? We can do some customer pay work too. I mean, is the actual mindset and model still what's holding this back? What have you guys done to go against that grain? Because I've watched and got to work with each of you on that, and you've done incredible changes to your company and how you operate. What's skewed with the model? Because that's what I'm hearing. We know that less than 3% of shops are embracing the tools and the systems that are available to actually run a good collision center. Why would people stay there? Why would they keep operating like it was 10? And I mean, let's be honest, we see shops 30 years back still. Why? What's wrong with it?
I think it's part of it. Just the comfort thing is part of it. I think a lot of people have kind of carved out their space in this industry. And unavoidably, I think you carve out your life around that, whether it be socially or financially, right? You get comfortable making a certain amount of money and hobbies that fit in those in that bracket, and you have friends that you make throughout the trade. I mean, we hear that story all the time where you have a body shop that's been around for years and years, and as long as the owner can afford a new truck and a boat, he's happy, right? And as much as that's kind of we say it, laughingly, I think that's pretty much it for a lot of people. And we've had shops in the area where they've continued to run that model, knowing that it wasn't sustainable. They've accepted that mentally, but now it's like, how far can I go? What? Without reinvesting, without changing any systems. I'm going to ride this out as long as I can. And when I get to that breaking point, which for a couple of shops that I know personally was this Ford aluminum thing that came along, and they already had 1 foot out the door, right? And they were like, as soon as something big happens, I am gone. And that was what pushed them. So, that's a question for everybody at large. What percentage of shops are that right now, right? Because those aren't the shops that are going to contribute in helping this industry grow. Those aren't the shops that are going to show up and put in the time to help everybody out, because they've carved their path forward and they're going to stick to that, right? So that's always going to be a certain percentage of the people in this industry, I think.
Well, thanks. I mean, what I heard you say is that there's a temptation to just be comfortable where you're at, but maybe Joel can help us out now that he's been on the outside for a bit. Is that not any business? Could not any business?
It's every business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the biggest word that Norm says, and it's change. It's like change isn't easy. Like change is the hardest thing to do, and quite honestly, most people are lazy. Like most people are lazy, right? They don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's like if this was easy to do, if change was easy to do, we wouldn't be probably this podcast wouldn't even exist, because there really wouldn't be anything to talk about. We'd all be successful. Everybody would be winning. This industry would be so fruitful. It'd be amazing. Everything's just colorful and lollipops and rainbows. But reality is change is hard. It's just hard. And the crazy part is, I remember this, I don't know whoever said it, but like when you go to start some sort of change and it won't, 9 times out of 10, it won't work the first time, and you have to be ready to keep doing it. But like it gets heavier and heavier to pick it up every time. And most people, like, they start to, even if they start to try the change, then if the first time it fails, it's like, well, it's not going to work the first time. Like, it doesn't matter how good you think the idea is, it's not going to work. There's the nuances that you have to navigate through, and you have to believe it, but you have to want it. And I just think that people are in every industry. We just bought a business that is a successful business, but it needs change. And the people that were operating it, they had been doing the same thing for a very long time, and they were content with what it was doing. But there's opportunity for change, and there was people that wanted the change, that they sought after the change, but no one was really willing to do the heavy lifting. And I think that's the reality in life, of anyone's life.
Yeah.
Like, I change my office like every 2 years, just so it's not the same. So it's not the same stagnancy all the time. It's like change, you know? I don't know. We're all going to rock these mustaches for a month, and then we're probably going to buzz them off. It's like change.
Change is good.
Change.
And it's scary. And like, it's hard. You know, I don't know if what you guys can't speak for you guys, but like, as I get older, when I was 25, I want to change everything every day, and a little less and a little less. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that this weekend. I don't know if I do that next week. This might take me 2 months to do it. Yeah. It gets harder, and I see it as you get older. You're stubborn. I'm like that old guy now. It's like complaining about the shit on the street, like what my neighbors are doing, where 15 years ago I wouldn't have cared, and I was always wondering why that old guy was worried about that. But yeah, we just get stuck in our ways as we get older, and we don't want to change anymore.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head, but I guess
that's a good point.
Kind of what I was where I was steering this is, are some industries more... Can you operate an industry longer without changing? Are some industries more tolerable to that than others, I guess, is kind of what I was trying to say. And because I don't know any other industry other than mine, but obviously you look at, tech and things like that, the change happens a lot more rapidly, right? And you can get left behind a lot quicker, right? So I imagine that there is a big difference, but in a trade like, construction or plumbing or all the ones that, we're maybe more familiar with, is the shelf life kind of the same? Like, if someone decides, I'm not changing anymore, I'm riding this out, are they going to be able to do that longer in one industry than the other? Or is it all just spurts? Each industry goes through these spurts.
Well, if that's the question you're posing, I mean, I'll jump in. I left the industry. I mean, I'm no longer in the shop. I did that because I love teaching what I got for many years to learn, and I'm grateful for it. I just knew that if it was something that helped one company, it must help a lot of companies. But when I left, I was in a bubble. When I started going out and helping out clients, seeing what they were up against, it was years and years going backwards. And so at first thought, man, maybe this industry is messed. And there are some things that are, again, I guess hard like any industry faces, but doesn't matter. And each of you three can account for getting some help and having somebody come in and even just help change slight perspective or spot what's in your blind spots. But to your question about construction, Norm, we work with many construction companies now too. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's an owner who has built this business on their back, done all the heavy lifting, brought some people in, got somebody in admin, got somebody in, swinging the hammer or pouring the concrete so that they can go and sell more. But they hit a ceiling, and they hit this level of ability for them to get it to the next, tier, if you will, or the next opportunity. Because if they don't, they're going to, again, go backwards. And it's exactly the same thing. It's you see things like poor planning. You see things like the construction industry absolutely lives in this world while we're just that complicated. They tell me, Lenny, you're never gonna change this. That's the way we've always done it, and that's the way it is. It's just not true. It's not true at all. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone who thinks that a collision repair shop is remotely as difficult as a construction company. I mean, imagine having a shop, but you bring in your third-party painter and your third-party estimating or third-party bodymen all to come together and fix a car. At least you have everyone under the same roof. But what's so cool is the same things we learned and now teach in the collision industry when it comes to lean and utilizing Kaizen, it applies to every business. So I would vouch to say that every business is prone to, if you're staying where you're at, the rest of the world is going to pass you. But I still don't know if we had the answer about what's going on with this industry. Because I'm certain there's plenty of people listening that are like, hey, I do love my business. I do love my people. Not super impressed about how hard it is to make the money. And I definitely don't like change. I understand that. What's wrong? What do I do? What's going to get me out of this if it's not leaving it? Maybe that's not even an option. I'm sure there's lots of listeners that don't want to, but they're stuck. And it's the same theme we hear everywhere we go is it's just so hard and I'm not making profit. It's like, how much longer can we live this way? Or is it like people are going to need their cars fixed?
Yeah.
At least hey, I think
you know
my lifetime and maybe even that of my kids or grandkids, but there's still going to be cars. There still need to be repairs. What's going on? What's the deal?
The way I look at it, Joel brought up change, and change is hard. And, we kind of look at things from our own perspective, and we need to change to get on with what's happening in our industry now with ADAS and with calibration and technology and parts delays, and all of those things are reasons that we have changed our procedures and policies so that we can maintain a certain level of profit. Not the profit we want, but some, and keep moving forward. But change comes from many different places, and our industry is full of a whole bunch of different players trying to play the same game with different rules. We got insurance companies dictating, and they've been, in my opinion, running the exact same freaking business strategy and repair process model with their DRP programs for around like 45 years here now of DRP, and they still haven't achieved their goals with a DRP program to get quality, efficiency, and cost savings in all. But every new CEO that comes out with a brand new DRP program that's going to revolutionize the industry, and you're going to be able to get some kickbacks here when you reach this KPI, and if you reach that KPI, we'll let you have some money so you can invest in a paint booth, and like it's all these freaking games. And like we're making change to play these games, but when are they gonna change the way they play the game so that they can see some efficiency as well too? Because they're not winning by this. I know they don't look at their three pillars of their business at the same time, and they're fine with maybe breaking even on this, but that's not to their gain either. There's huge cost savings, in my opinion, to the insurance industry if body shops actually make more money. Like, that's crazy to say, but it's true. But it comes with a certain level of trust, and trust, goddammit, is hard with people that you like, let alone with people that owe you money. So, unless the insurance companies are going to change, we're going to keep playing the game, and we're going to chase those 5 cents like Joel just got sick of doing and moved on.
Point ones, man. Point ones.
Yeah. And Todd and Norm and myself, we're still fighting the good fight, and we're going to chase those 5 cents because that's what we do. And we're going to try to make sure that our employees go from $95,000 a year to $125,000 a year.
Oh, man, you guys are getting the Amber Alert in the middle of the podcast.
Everyone's getting an Amber Alert here, man.
No, the government saying, shut it down.
I gotta go.
They heard you.
Yeah. They heard us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Norm and Joel got back together on a podcast.
Imagine this idea, though. So, Jojo, you're talking about, the insurance companies, and they're trying to, every few years, you get a new CEO, and they're trying to revamp how we deal with insurance claims. Here's a concept, and maybe there's an insurance company that'll tune into this. Maybe take my 2 cents here and then I'm gone. It's like, how about you don't do anything? How about you don't spend any money on anything, and you let the collision industry, the people that are running these businesses and fixing these cars, how about you just let them do it, and you don't spend any money on it? And I can't speak for any other these other insurance companies outside of Manitoba, but it's like the amount of money, millions of dollars, that Manitoba Public Insurance has wasted on these brainwave ideas and these different CEOs. If we looked, I don't know, Norm, if we looked at the entire time that we've been in the industry, Manitoba Public Insurance has wasted over $100 million on projects and new things that are going to revitalize the industry and make things easier. Oh, we're going to reduce our costs. We're going to do all these things. And then we didn't think about all these employees that we have that we can't get rid of, and we still have to pay them. So yeah, that's not good. Here's a wild, crazy idea. Let's just look at what the other industries, other trades do in the world. It's like, let them run the business and just pay the bill, and it will actually cost you less money in the long term than trying to come up with all these crazy functioning ideas. And especially in our province where it's government ran, it's like crazy, I know, to think this, but like government initiatives take 2, 3, 4 times as long and cost 5, 6, 7, 10 times as much money to do it. And it's like, just let the business people that are here to operate efficiently and know how to do that, and then let us be profitable. Will actually save you money in the long run if you just get out of the way.
Yep.
100%. Yep. Well
now,
said.
Of course, you might have made that a little bit too simple. We might have to dumb that down just a little bit, but no, you're
not enough of a word salad, Joel. They don't understand that.
Yeah, we need to go through a couple more parts of the maze first, and then really get them turned around, and then here you go.
Not gonna lie, I kind of went on my Chat GPT and I kind of asked it some questions. What would you do about the repair industry, or what are some differences between Canada and the US?
What does AI say?
It basically says get the out of the way.
Yeah,
and it's exactly what you said, Joel. Like I got it on my screen here and I'm laughing, and it's get out of the way. Like how much money does an insurance company spend on advertising for customer retention or for lack of customer retention because of a shitty claims process? They say they want to retain customers, and it costs, was it 5 or 6 times more to get a new customer than it does to retain one? So that's why they have huge advertising budgets. It's like, no, take that advertising budget, put it into claims, and keep the damn customer.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they're changing. And like you guys, don't see it as much with the public insurance, but for us, like every claim now, it seems like the customer's like, yep, new company again. There's zero brand loyalty.
I would love to know what government insurance companies spend on oversight. Managers who are managing more managers, who are managing adjusters, who are managing appraisers, who are trying to manage shops. And it's like the 7 layers of the candy cane forest, and they're all, and it's like, I just don't even know. I'm sure that our public insurance companies publish these numbers, but I think it would be astonishing.
Yeah.
They
probably
spend
processes.
Could it hypothetically be like $1 million a shop? Like they're spending $1 million a shop for oversight every year on every shop. Like think about how insane that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It wouldn't, and I don't know what the numbers are.
Mm-hmm.
That's like whoa, okay. It's the old adage of like the one guy running the shovel and the 10 guys watching them. Making sure, and they're all making sure that each other's watching the person in front of them the right way. It's craziness. Right? Get it out of the way.
I don't know what all the other provinces are, but obviously in Manitoba, it's like they're only allowed to make, the public insurance company's only allowed to make so much money and hold it before there has to be a rebate issued to the public.
Oh, no way.
And so when they're running profitable, it's like they are looking for every way possible to burn funds. Like we can't heaven forbid this company makes, a surplus and has a bunch of money in their bank account. And it's so politically driven in a way that at the same time,
Wow.
it's like when you look at, politics, and not to go on a politics rant here by any means, but like
No.
that's such a shifted industry that's a polite way of saying it. But when those two are so interconnected in the government insurance world, it's like profit and politics and who's controlling the money and what's happening to it. It's like, yeah, things don't happen for the good. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Joel, I need your
working
help.
against the industry.
Growing up in the concourse world, and Ken Friesen, just legend for always helping us understand that the money's out there. While everyone's heading across the bridge this way, we're going over there to see what opportunity lies. Let's work on us. Let's go get the money. Doesn't mean that we have to be, fully trusting, but we have to show respect to the fact that that's how we earn the money, and we got right down to the skinny of our systems and how we, bring cars in at check-in through to how we repair plan them to how we, stopped monitoring or nickel and diming everything down to every single tech's efficiencies and materials used. Those are important things, but we just got focused on doing it right, doing it well, and we did well at it. We made good profit, and again, got to a point where obviously Ken was happy and moved on, sold his business, and it was great to be part of that life. Now I'm out there busy, convincing, and obviously duped 3 of these guys to keep going. It's going to be great. Keep improving your systems. You're going to be profitable. But you lived that life for a while too, Joel, right? You put a lot of heart and soul into helping this industry know that there is a better way. And I believe there still is, but what do you do with the remaining, shops out there that are truly not sure what to do? They are scared of change. They're not necessarily supported even by, be it insurance or networks or whatever relationship they have. They're looking for support. And of course, the whole purpose of this podcast was to get people talking, but nobody's talking. So I want to swing the pendulum back to this industry has everything going for it, just like any industry. And I do believe if it gets focused on value to the customer, there will be significant changes. The ones who don't change will be weeded out, and the ones who do will succeed. But maybe I'm wrong.
So is that for me or for Joel? That was for me. You said Joel.
Well, I mean, chat. It was to Joel because I followed him back in the days. I know there's lots of people, Joel, that looked to you and your advice, including the guys in this room. There are people listening, and there's people wondering, hoping, and wanting to change, but just don't have a freaking clue how. And so, titling this podcast, "Does Our Industry Suck?" and then alluding to maybe you need to get out. Those problems, my gut tells me those problems are going to follow you into the very next business you run if you're running a poor business right now. That's my gut.
Yeah, if you're running a poor business right now, getting out of this business isn't. It's just the same thing. It's funny, Lenny. Like you're on your thing, and it just kind of popped in my head, and this will be my thing on this podcast. It's change or die. Change or die. There it is. You got to make the changes, and you got to be willing. And if you don't know what to change, or you don't know where to change, it's like there is a community of people out there that are doing things differently than you. And there are so many people in this industry that are so willing, like Lenny's talking about how willing you guys were at Concourse to share everything that you were doing. And there's so many shops like that. I didn't find success because I created some magnificent, magical way of doing things. It's like I had really good rip off and duplicate skills. I went and I looked at the people that were doing really good things, and I went and was like, okay, I need to get better. What can I do differently? And it's like, well, that looks like it. Well, how do I implement that here? And then I talked to this guy, and I made it a point to be a part of. I surrounded myself with people that were better than me, and I was in performance groups with some of the best operators in the country, and I was at industry events, and I would make sure I was there not to drink the free rum and cokes, but to get the free information that was there. Like it was floating around in everyone's heads, and have conversations. And I was always the last guy to leave the lobby bars and the restaurants, and I positioned myself at tables because I wanted the information. I wanted the information so that I had the ability to make positive changes and positive impacts on the business. And I was never afraid to change, and more importantly, I was never afraid to fail. And I failed way more times than I won. But I always had the mentality, it was like, I'm going to make this better. I'm going to figure out how to do this more efficiently. I'm going to figure out how to do this more profitably. And I'm going to figure out how to duplicate it and just continue to do it over and over again. So I guess my answer in short is like, change. You have to be willing to change. You have to get out of the way that you're doing things. You have to go into your business every day and what can I change? And you can't look at it with the blinders on. It's like an open lens, and hire the third party companies to come in. I loved when people would come visit the shops, because it wasn't for them to see what I was doing. I was like, I want to see what they notice, what stands out for them. And I loved walking through other people's shops. I would see the weirdest things and the little tiny things, takeaways. And if you get 5, 6, 10, a dozen takeaways in a year, that's like 10 things that you can change in your business to improve it. So yeah, for the people that don't know where to start, it's like, get yourself into groups, hire a third-party consultant, surround yourself with better operators, smarter operators, people that are just doing things that are so far out there in comparison to yours, and watch what happens to your business in a year.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
very
it.
well said.
And this question, who, as a business owner, who's holding you accountable? Who's holding you to task? Who's making sure you're getting out of bed and doing the work versus groveling and complaining and pointing out everything right? I mean, there's two things you can be that are super easy in this world. You can be right and you can be negative. I mean, choose to be neither for a day and watch what happens. But who's holding you guys accountable? And if the answer is nobody or we don't know, then how do we create some of that? I know we have it. We have an owners group we created, the Kaizen Elevation group, and these guys are hungry, just like you said, Joel. They're going in each other's shops and they're hanging out with each other. They're bringing their location leaders, and those guys are seeing things. So, but you know, Joel, you're in a different industry. Do you have somebody holding you accountable, or what have you done to make sure that it isn't just always up to you? Because that can be hard, right?
Yeah, I'm fortunate in my business that I own it with my brother, and we're like polar opposites of each other. So our day to day is we're holding each other accountable on every facet. But I also have been I was taught at a young age that like I needed a mentor, and I've had multiple mentors as my career has shifted and I've found different levels of success and taken on different opportunities. I've always had a mentor in my life, and relied on that mentor to hold me accountable to some of the pieces. And it's funny you're talking about this from a body shop perspective. He's long retired now, but I give him a shout out. And he's here is like, there's a guy named Bob DeBray, he worked for Axel Nobel, and he was like, some guys hated him because he just said it what it was. But I was like, anytime this guy would come to any of our shops, because he would walk around and he wasn't there to pat me on the back and tell me I was doing a good job. He was there to tell me all the shit that I'm still not doing and hold me accountable to get it done. And I value that. And like that relationship, and I considered him a mentor for a lot of years, because he pushed me to get better. He pushed me to change. He may or may not have always been right, but he always pushed me, and I always appreciated that. And I think you have to have that, because like when you're the business owner, a lot of times there is no accountability. You can say your staff holds you accountable to do have a good culture and to pay them and them to be happy, and obviously your wife or your partner can hold you accountable to be a kind human being on 40% of the day, and like little pieces like that. But like at the end of the day, to be an efficient operating business and to make necessary change and to be more profitable, it's like, there has to be people. And I was in a really good performance group for the last 10 years, where it was like, it became like a band of brothers, but like there's no holds bar. It was like you weren't doing something, like knives were out, fists were out, and like, but also hugs came quickly after, and all that kind of stuff too. And I really appreciated that. And I'm still very close to a lot of those guys today. I talk to them on a weekly or semi-weekly or semi-monthly basis, because there's still some of that accountability there. It still feels like there's something there, even though I've left this industry and went on to something else.
So take what you learn in the collision industry and go make real money somewhere else.
Yeah, precisely.
You got it.
And now the only person
just reading between the lines here.
If only that were completely true. But what I heard so far to what everyone's saying is, you can make profit, quit your bitching, surround yourself with people who are more smarter than you, change or die. And that goes for any business.
All true.
But let's land the plane on this. Does the collision industry suck? Because if it does, and I've heard a few prompts that it does, if it does, what can a shop owner actually do with their business other than perhaps the idea of getting out? Specifics, guys. What have you done to get yourself past that? Because I'm sure there's days where you're like, what the heck are we even doing? Like, but I've heard, like I said, I've heard a construction owner say, I did $2.5 million in sales last year and I barely brought home $50,000. I can't do this again. Something has to change. So what have you guys done?
Number one thing, stop being victim.
Yeah.
For me, stop being a victim.
You're bang on. Yeah. I think we spent, and I mean, we can have these conversations all day long. I think this podcast is kind of, a little bit of a look into our industry. And I mean, unavoidably throughout this conversation, the insurance company, and we start ragging on the insurance company a little bit, right? And of course that's going to happen because yes, there is a lot of things that can change there. But to Todd's point, those are the things that we have very limited control over, right? So until you've exhausted your pool of things that you can control and made those 110%, you have no business looking across the street and starting to point out what needs to be done over there. Yes, does change need to happen in our insurance industry? Of course it does, absolutely. But Joel just, he just hammered out a laundry list of great things that are available in our industry. And to that point, I would say I have friends, believe it or not, who are in other industries, and I tell them about performance groups in our industry, and they're like, wow, that's so cool. And I just always assumed every industry had that. And so then they'd start asking questions. Well, what do you talk about? Oh, really? You get into details like that? You guys aren't like scared they're going to like steal you? And it's like, steal my what? Like, these shops there's a lot of work out there for everybody. So, to Lenny's question, I would point right to what Joel said. Surround yourself with those people and put yourself in a situation where you're able to absorb all that. But one thing that you guys have never heard me say before that I'm going to repeat again is know your numbers. If you don't know that
you've never heard that from you.
If you don't know that you're not being successful, like how do you measure success in a day-to-day as a business owner? Is it nobody screamed at me today, that was a good day? Is it no employee got mad? However that looks to you, I think the first thing you need to know is, how am I measuring success in my business? By what metrics am I doing that? And then second of all, am I hitting those metrics? And if I'm not, what am I going to do about it? Right? And that's to Joel's, and to what everybody said about joining groups and all these things you can do. But I think there's a big stumbling block right before that. I think a lot of people just think, I'm doing fine. I'm okay. But I would encourage people to get out and just, get past the weather, and start talking about things and really start digging and get uncomfortable. What does Lenny call it? Sand in the
sheets.
That's
a great phrase now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sand in the sheets. And
yeah, you're keeping score, Norm.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality here, right? And I used to love guys that would go to a performance group and they'd submit their numbers, and like some of these guys that obviously didn't know their numbers and they weren't on it, like they would do for 3, 4, 5, 6 months of financials, and then they'd show up, and I'd always be like, what's the point of this? Like, if you're not keeping score every day, or every game that you're playing, or every month, how can you, like, even when you get the score, it's like, 6 months ago we lost 6 months ago. It's like, well, you can't change, like you can't do anything to impact that now. So it's like if you're not keeping score every day, how can you possibly make positive change tomorrow? Right? Because you don't know what the score is. And I'm always just like, I always say that in any business I walk into. I used to say, what are you guys doing for this? What are you doing for this? And then my mindset changed. I'm like, what's the score? And they're like, I don't know, what's the score? How do you know? How do we know if we're winning here?
Yeah.
What do you do here that tells me if we're winning or losing? And I don't need a big, fancy, flashy scoreboard, but I need to know that everybody in that business, no matter what it is, knows what the score is. Are we winning today? Did we win last month? Or are we losing? Or how much are we behind by? Yep. And when you don't know that, well, how do you expect to make any impactful change?
Yeah, the difference between figure skating, where you skate your butt off and then you wait painfully to see how it went, or versus something like hockey, which is on the jumbotron right in front of you. If I could offer everyone listening in the collision side of things, and I think there's a metric to every business, but it's simple, something as simple as hours per day. How many hours per day, meaning body paint, call it, are you producing? Are you at below or above that? And happy for anyone who wants some help on that. I know that Todd, Jojo, and Norm all use that metric, and their people get it because they're the ones doing the work. They work on the vehicles. They can tell what needs to go that day, and if it doesn't, they'll talk about it. What got in the way? Well, we missed a part. Let's get back to repair planning. We had a flaw in the paint. Is our booth clean? All of those things keep bringing it right back to what you actually can do to put points on the board. So thanks for that, Joel. Pulling out my heartstrings, brother. It's awesome. Todd, Jojo, something specific, if not leaving the industry, that an owner and their team can do today? Go out on your floor, go and stand and watch. What can they do to make an impact? Turn this thing around.
I can't talk yet because Joel took all of Joel's words out of his mouth here. So it's taking me a minute to gather something. But no, I guess really there's a lot of things, but maintaining that positive attitude, keep going forward. Like it's tough out there, and every industry is hard. They all have their problems, and everybody gets on the bitch campaign when things aren't going right. But things like this, performance groups, connecting with other competitors and or other businesses to maintain that positive attitude and keep going forward. I took another one from Joel here. I'm going to change my office around. It's been 2 years. I haven't changed it. But change is inevitable. It's happening faster and faster and faster every single day. I think just embrace change and be positive about it would probably be the biggest takeaway that I could take from here.
Awesome. Todd?
Yeah, I guess besides deciding not to be a victim, I do agree with both Joel squared on change, and I think if you can look yourself in the mirror and go am I willing to change and am I willing to take it on with a good attitude? Because I think we can't even do things the way we were doing them last year. Things are just changing too quick. I don't care what business you're in. I think that's relevant pretty well across the board. Norm, you talked about that a little bit earlier. Is there, can a metal fab guy just weld the same way he was welding before and still be profitable? I don't really know. But I think that if your goal is to be a success, you're going to need to change, and you're going to need to change proactively, not reactively. You're going to have to be looking out on the horizon and go, what's coming and what do I need to be paying attention to, and what's our process change, what's our staff, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. There's things coming at you. What's the insurance company's new thing that they're going to throw at us next week, right? To be comfortable with that.
Yeah, and to echo what Joel said earlier, when you do make a tweak or a change and it doesn't work, don't give up. You saw something.
Yeah.
You worked with your people. They probably responded even well to it, even if it was a mistake, but keep going. Do that incremental adjustments. Sometimes it is a a major rip the band-aid off, but rarely is it anything more than just taking a moment, talking with your team and asking, what's getting in the way? Just today, what's getting in the way? What are some of your biggest frustrations, your biggest challenges? Those can be some of the biggest opportunities you'll ever find, right? Anyways, I will throw in that even as a shop who's working hard to create change and worried about, we all know the feeling running out of work. That can be a scary thing. But educating your customer, and I know all of you guys do it. Joel, I barely know you, but I'm certain that's a big element you're taking in your industry as well, as educate your customer, help them understand what their car has gone through, what you as a collision center do to take the weight of that claim off of their back. And they will keep coming. Customers get it, man. And we see it in every industry. When the customer starts getting educated and truly understanding what needs to happen for their problem, they will choose you if you can show it to them. So appreciate all y'all being brutally honest today. And I know it was a up and coming topic. I look forward to as many people commenting on what they might have got out of it, because it's just going to spark more podcasts. Appreciate you, Todd, Jojo, and Norm, and Joel as well, making time out of your day to chat today. I don't think this is over. I think we got a lot more to cover, but we are at our hour, so that's it.
Well, all I got to say is that turned out to be a ridiculously positive podcast with the title of "Does Our Industry Suck?"
Does our industry suck?
Yeah.
So,
Actually, was it? Yeah.
good job,
I
guys.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Very cool.
Mhm.
No, and again, Joel, thanks for time out of your day, just jumping in on this
Yeah.
with
Appreciate that.
unscripted, which is our favorite.